After some shocking auction results, it is clear that the price gap between PSA graded cards and all the other grading companies has never been bigger. But does this make any sense at all, or are collectors making a huge mistake? We'll debate now. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another episode of Cards on the Table. Teapot Doug, don't mind me, I'm just getting dressed here for the game tonight.
Mr. Rogers over
That's
here.
exactly
For the
what I was
game
thinking.
this evening.
Yeah.
My Florida Gators, we're about to take down Maryland.
Oh, the Crab Five.
To
Okay.
continue to advance in the Sweet 16 onto the Elite Eight, gentlemen. We got to get this episode done because I got to go watch that game here in just a moment. But let's talk about what we are seeing going on. These crazy results of PSA cards and what they're selling for compared to BGS and other card brands. It was never more on display than this past week. There was that big Fanatics auction. Obviously, people were talking about the Fanatics Collect auction with the Paul Skenes 1-of-1 Major League Debut patch card, which sold for $1.11 million. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But there was another set of cards in that auction that really caught my attention. There were two copies of the 2018 Bowman Shohei Ohtani gold auto card. These are numbered to 50. One was a PSA 10. The other was a BGS 9.5. And the BGS 9.5, by the way, was a true gem plus, meaning its subgrades were I think it was a 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, and 10.
Correct.
Were the subgrades. So it was a very nice copy of a BGS 9.5. Exact same card, right?
Yes.
Just two slightly different grades. The PSA 10 sold for $204,000. And in the exact same auction, the BGS 9.5 True Gem Plus sold for just $96,000. The PSA 10 more than doubled the BGS 9.5 True Gem Plus. Perhaps no better display of the power of the PSA 10 grade over all the other grading companies than that. And I went back and I looked and I said, okay, are we still seeing this type of separation even on lower end cards? Or has the gap gotten smaller over time or gotten bigger over time? I looked at one of Ohtani's most common rookie cards, his 2018 Topps base card in PSA 10, one of his more approachable rookie cards. 3 years ago, if you go back 3 years ago, the data shows that the PSA 10s back then were selling for about 1.9 times a BGS 9.5 and about 2.2 times an SGC 10. And they were selling for about a little over 3 times a PSA 9. If you look at that same card today, you'll find that the PSA 10 is still selling for almost exactly 1.9 times a BGS 9.5. So the gap hasn't closed at all in the last 3 years. Most recently, it's been selling for about 1.9 to 2 times an SGC 10. So maybe the gap closed slightly on an SGC 10, but then I looked at some other cards and the gap was even bigger on an SGC 10. So I don't think the gap's closed at all, really. And actually, the PSA 10 is now selling for about 3.6 times a PSA 9. So the PSA 10 value compared to a 9 has actually separated a little bit more. These other grading companies are desperately wanting their cards on the secondary market to command the same respect as PSA graded cards, yet it's just not happening. And then you see this type of high profile auction, which just shows you the incredible difference in value that collectors place, the premium they place on a PSA 10 over all other cards that are graded. And of course, PSA continues their dominance in just the number of cards they're grading as well. In February 2025, according to GemRate, PSA graded 1.44 million cards compared to 146,000 by SGC and 53,000 by Beckett. So in all facets, PSA seems to continue to be dominant right now. But my question for you guys, does this price gap, does the premium on a PSA 10 make sense? Did this auction make sense to you, Teapot?
What do you think I'm going to say, Jeff?
I think you're going to say something different than what I'm going to say.
What do you think I'm going to say here?
You're going to say no, but I'm surprised
listen,
Jeff's going to say yes.
We don't have nearly enough time right now for me to share all of my thoughts on this, so much so that I am going to be doing a very full-length, pull the soapbox out, ranting video on the Market Movers channel about this whole auction, about a whole bunch of things that I can't wrap my head around. This being one of them, maybe the top one. This is actually not the top one. This would be the second one. We'll save that for the other video. Philosophically, I don't get it. I've talked about this. I've made videos. I made a video called the PSA 10 Premium is out of control. And it's proof that people are buying a 3-letter acronym label. That's what it is. That's the proof of it with a number. So if you're comparing a 10 to a 9, you're talking about marginal, most times, many times, imperceptible differences on a card to the human eye that maybe not even detectable. And people are paying these huge, huge, huge premiums for that. I don't personally get it. It's always about opportunity cost. And when it comes to opportunity cost, I would love to have that Ohtani card, but then some other incredible RPA or any number of the other cards that sold in the $100,000 range in that auction alone, not to mention all the other cards in the universe. But I'm not in that tier. And I've got a little trick to maybe hack my own perspective on this that I am going to go into and play devil's advocate in that video to try to understand the thought process. But at the end of the day, it comes down to people with much bigger budgets than I have who want the absolute best of the best. Whether or not that Ohtani is actually truly that much better than the BGS 9.5 is a different discussion. I will say the auto is definitely better. On the PSA 1010, the auto is better than the BGS 9.5 with the 10 auto, which I don't really know how it got a 10 auto. To me, it looked like a 9 auto. But again, we're talking about marginal differences on an auto. It's still an auto from Ohtani on a gold refractor rookie card. So I don't get it. I thought the centering actually looks a little better on the 9.5 than on the PSA 10, so you could play the other side. I've got a lot more to say about this. I'm going to save it for the video. I want to know what Doug thinks of this.
I'll play devil's advocate a little bit. Maybe I'm stealing some of Jeff's thoughts. I don't know. But I think the first thing I think of is eye appeal. The first thing I notice when I see the cards side by side is the BGS slab itself, and specifically the labeling. The little tile they use for the 10 autograph is crooked. It doesn't fit in the slab well. It's sideways. And the actual printing of the tile is off-centered. So where it says Beckett 10 autograph, it's like tilted way up on the tile and the tile sideways. So immediately I have, the perception that just doesn't look good. Like the OCD in me comes out and that doesn't look great. Then it's the placement of the auto on the card. It's much better placed on the PSA card.
That is.
And the quality is much better placed on the PSA card. I think if you crack the BGS 9.5 out and cross it over to PSA, it's not getting an auto 10. I think it's getting an auto 9. So I think there's a difference there. I'm trying to do my best to justify this, right? Then you have the psychological 9.5 versus 10. 10 is a higher number than 9.5. There is some psychology that goes into play there, and I think that can matter to some people, especially if they have a collection of PSA slabs, and they're all PSA 10s. You don't want that one awkward-looking 9.5 in the middle of your PSA 10 collection, right? So that could be part of this as well. But ultimately, if this comes down to my decision, give me 2 of those BGSs for the price of one PSA. But
and then some.
When it comes to a card of this stature, of this pedigree, I think the old adage, buy the card, not the grade, comes into play. And there's only 50 of these, what will be considered a pretty iconic card of the modern era. Buy the card, not the grade. Give me the BGS at that price.
So both you guys are not wrong, but you're also not right. And this is very much a matter of opinion from how collectors would decide to approach this, and neither is wrong. And I am more in the camp of, I would pay the premium for the 10. I want the 10, and I'd rather have the 10-10 and no other cards than the 9.5 and a group of other cards that I could have then bought in the auction. That's my collecting philosophy. It's different than your collecting philosophy. And I don't think either is wrong. If you're looking to buy a nice house in your neighborhood, do you want the $5 million house that's the absolute best house in the neighborhood undoubtedly? Or do you want the $3 million house and now you've got $2 million to be able to go buy a vacation home somewhere else? Would you rather buy the wedding ring for your wife that's the absolute best, biggest, clearest ring you can find? Or would you rather spend a little bit less and now you can put some extra money towards the honeymoon? Nothing's wrong with either strategy. It's, what do you want? Do you want to diversify a little bit and not have the best of the best? Or do you want the one thing, but you want it to be the absolute best of the best, the cream of the crop? I will tell you, historically, from an investing standpoint, you're actually better off typically going for the singular best of the best.
True.
Because you often will see the appreciation move quicker on the absolute top graded, most scarce, best in class copy of something. That typically appreciates quicker than the next rung down does. And that's not just true in sports cards. That's also true in real estate. That's also true in art.
Fashion.
That's also true in fashion. That's also true in a lot of other fields. That the best of the best, the number one, will appreciate quicker than the stuff that's a rung below it. So for all of those reasons, I could argue, the PSA 1010 is the way to go here. But I also completely understand the argument, buy the card, not the grade. And what are we doing here paying an extra $108,000 to get a card that is just so marginally better that it's almost indistinguishable? I get that too.
I will say,
I get it.
They did the BGS no favors by running it at the same time.
Yeah.
Those shouldn't have gone to auction together, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, so put this in perspective. You could take that BGS 9.5 Ohtani, and then you could potentially have literally the best of another player's best card, like a Connor McDavid or somebody, and then have the Ohtani. So there's always layers to this. If I came to you and said, Jeff, would you rather have this BGS 9.5 Ohtani and your entire Tim Tebow collection?
Oh, well, you're putting Tim Tebow into this.
But this is an opportunity cost thing. That's what I mean. No, nobody there are people who have unlimited budgets, and that's part of what I'm going to unpack from a mindset thing to understand in this, because I think, we hear $200,000, $100,000, and I go, well, I'm not in either of those markets, but maybe if I were at a certain level, then the difference is negligible.
Yeah.
So, but I think you'd take your Tim Tebow collection and the 9.5 Ohtani.
That's fair. If you shrink this down to my level and it's a $200 card versus a $100 card,
you just
I'm going after the $200
but that's
card.
exactly how I'm going to look at it. 100%. Yes.
These are all great points. And once again, I don't think any of it's right or any of it's wrong. It's how people choose to collect. It's what they choose to value. Different people can value different things. Some people value the perfect grade and the perfection from that standpoint, and other people value having a more diversified, wider collection and don't care about the grade as much. That's one of the cool things I think about sports cards, to be honest, is you can approach it any way you want to approach it. Now, should the PSA 10 be that much more valuable than the BGS 9.5? I don't know. I mean, it's what the markets have done. I don't know if it's right or not, but I'm not sure that any of us can say it's right or not, because it's how the markets have acted. This is all market driven. The reason why the PSA 10 sold for so much more than the BGS 9.5 is because the market, or at least the people bidding that night, believed that it was worth that much more than the BGS 9.5. And we see this auction result play out repeatedly. It's not just on the super high end. I gave the stats earlier about how PSA 10s are typically 1.9x more valuable than BGS 9.5s when you look at Ohtani's common cards.
Yeah.
So the market thinks so.
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong, who knows?
I was thinking about Marshall Fogel and Ken Kendrick's collections and how much different their collections would be if they had collections that were 3 times bigger, but of the next grade down of all the cards that they have, and it wouldn't
have the same pop.
They wouldn't have been on a Slabs episode.
Wouldn't have been the same pop.
It's just not. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll talk myself into this a little bit when I record, but.
Well, one thing you don't have to talk yourself into, guys, is Arena Club slab packs, because we're going to rip a few right now, and these things are great. Let's start by ripping Doug's. Let's see what Doug got here.
Okay, I did football.
So you got an Emerald football pack.
CJ
Stroud auto. Bowman first.
That's awesome. That's
PSA
a great
10.
card.
It's not bad.
Yeah, call up Card Collector 2. Call up Ryan. See if I can pawn that off on him.
Instant
That's
buy
actually a
from
great card.
Collector
Yeah, for PSA 10 too.
Shout out to my guy Rusty, by the way. There's a guy named Rusty who messaged me on Arena Club. We did a trade, but he said hey to you guys as well.
Awesome.
So if he's watching this,
Nice.
hey Rusty.
Your showroom is pinned, so if anyone
Yeah.
wants to trade for that card, they can trade you right now on Arena Club. Let me look at mine. I did basketball. This is an Emerald basketball pack. Chris Paul. Okay, this is one of
Nice.
the
Timeless
Panini
Moments.
1-in-1 Timeless Moments cards.
Those are awesome.
Those are like big chase cards.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Panini 1-in-1. So that's
Yeah.
a Chris Paul little signature there. Teapot, you got one of these emeralds as well. What sport did you do?
I went with baseball.
All right, let's see
Baseball
what you got.
again.
Let's
Pressing
see
your
what
luck.
you got.
Yep. Run it
Trout
back.
auto.
Okay.
I've heard of him.
Your favorite guy.
Okay. A Paul Skenes Orange Shimmer.
Out of 25.
That's legit.
That's more than okay.
That's legit.
That's
Yeah.
more than okay.
I'm in the Skenes market now.
Well
I'm
played,
officially
yeah.
Skenes investor.
What are we take those? Is that what we
Ooh,
say?
Yeah, we take.
All right,
we take
these are in our
we take
showrooms
those.
right
Bang.
now
We
on
take
Arena
those.
Club. If anybody out there wants to do trade offers with us. By the way, these slab packs, you can get your own slab packs right now on Arena Club. These packs are live all the time. And if you download the Arena Club app or go to arenaclub.com, use promo code SCI20 for 20% off your first purchase of Arena Club slab packs. By the way, tomorrow, Arena Club is dropping a brand new type of slab pack. It is their Crown Jewel slab pack, a $5,000 pack. Yes, you heard me right. A $5,000 pack with crazy, outrageous hits in it. That's the pack to use the coupon code on.
Yeah. it is.
SCI20.
That's
Get
true.
the $5,000 pack for $4,000. Go do that tomorrow. Promo code SCI20. And by the way, Arena Club gives you an instant offer of 90% of your card value when you open up one of the slab packs. So it's all good. Check out Arena Club, promo code SCI20. All right, guys, let's jump into our next story. The Paul Skenes rookie debut patch, the 1-of-1, it sold this last week. The hyped card sold for $1.11 million. The fact that it went over $1 million, maybe not a surprise because it was trending that direction. We all talked about this on last week's show, that this was going to top $1 million. What was the surprise is who bought it. After the auction, it was revealed that Dick's Sporting Goods purchased the card. And everyone was like, my reaction was like, huh,
Yeah.
okay. So apparently they bought the card to display it at the Ross Park House of Sport in Pittsburgh as part of a new collector's space and national memorabilia initiative that is launching this spring. Kind of interesting. Dick's is saying that they want to bring fans closer to the game and inspire young athletes and collectors with in-store access to major hobby pieces. That's kind of interesting. So Dick's is going to bring, maybe this is just the first of several cards they purchase, and they're going to display high-end sports cards at Dick's Sporting Goods stores. It looks like maybe they're going to launch, maybe more products. Maybe they're going to carry more boxes and cards in the future. I don't know. I don't know exactly what their plans are, but I thought this was all a little bit surprising. Teapot, what did you make of this when you heard they were the buyer?
Well, when I first heard that, I was like, I had the same reaction, like, what? And I was, my initial reaction was a little bit visceral, kind of like annoyed. Like, what? We got corporations buying cards now? Like, that's annoying. I don't know. Then I sort of settled into it and started to think about it and was like, I don't hate this. If I found out that like the Baseball Hall of Fame bought this card as like an ode to modern sports card memorabilia and things, that I would thought that was pretty cool. So the fact that it's actually something that they're now like giving access to people to, as opposed to something going to some winner who we may have never known the identity of, and then the card just disappears into a vault forever for an indeterminate amount of time. I prefer this scenario quite a bit, actually. I think it's obviously headline worthy all over national news, all over sports media, so it's adding exposure to the card market. I'm very curious to know who the runner-up was in the auction. I just would like to know, was that another corporation? Was it
Academy
was it an
Sports.
individual person? Academy Sports. We'll probably never know who that was. But this card, I mean, this is our third time talking about this card, and like our 10th time talking about Skenes market in the last year. It's wild. It doesn't rationally make a lot of sense, just this price for a pitcher. It blows the doors off of the next highest pitcher sale of all time, not named Babe Ruth, by $500,000. So there's a lot that's irrational about it, but there's somehow also a lot that makes sense when you think about it as just like a marketing tool for something that they're doing to like promote sports and sports memorabilia and things. So I don't hate it. These cards are just rising and rising and rising in prestige. It is factually now like I think what Mahan said, like the greatest innovation, or Ruben, like the greatest sports card innovation we've seen in a very long time. So these cards are here to stay. I had hoped and had aspirations a year ago of owning one of these at some point, of like a Tigers player or something. I'm not probably ever going to now. They're all going to be, even the worst players are going to be like 10K plus. So buckle up. This is just the beginning for the MLB debut. I'll say that much.
What did you think, Doug?
I mean, at this rate, you'll probably pull one out of a slab pack.
Hey, you know what? Let's do it.
It's a nice little PR move for Dick's. They wildly overspent on the card, as we talked about for the past couple of weeks. Now it makes more sense, though, because they're going to get a lot of publicity from this. They are getting a lot of publicity from this. And I appreciate what they're doing with the card. So I guess there's, Dick's Sporting Goods that we're familiar with, and there's Dick's House of Sport. I assume that's something like Target and Super Target or something, right? I don't really know. It seems like this is a different type of Dick's store that's way more interactive. They've got climbing walls,
Like a
and
Bass
VR.
Pro Shop or something?
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. But this seems to be something that they are going to be popping up, these sort of interactive flagship stores, and they're going to have these collector spaces, as they call them. What is it? Maybe it's an LCS? Is it Dick's opening up their own hobby shop within their stores? I'm curious to see what this collector space really looks like. That supposedly launches this spring at some point. And if they launch around the country rather, and they all have these, sort of memorabilia pieces in them, it'll be cool. It'll be, these little local, regional type museums for cards, in a sense. I'm sure everybody in Pittsburgh is going to want to take a look at the Skenes debut patch. If we had one here in Atlanta, who knows what they would have available for us. But I think it's a cool initiative, and I'm appreciative that this card will be on display, and people will be able to appreciate it for a long time. And like you said, it's not just going to hide in a vault and be resold in a decade or whatever.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I think it's kind of neat. I'd be mad if I was the underbidder on it.
I would be too.
If I really wanted this card, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to buy this card. I set aside $1 million. I'm going to buy this card, and then I keep getting outbid. And I finally am like, I can't bid anymore. It's gone beyond where I could go. And I stop. And then, the next bid wins. And then it turns out that bid was Dick's Sporting Goods.
Dick's.
I'd be like, what the heck? Like that might make me upset. But it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if any other companies kind of follow suit here. And if you see more corporate, big splashy purchases in the hobby. But I think it's cool. I think it's cool they're trend setting, and we'll see what Dick's Sporting Goods does.
Is there any sort of tax write-off that goes into that, since it's like a display piece for the store?
Yeah, it's a marketing
I think it'd be a
expense.
business expense.
Yeah.
They probably bought it out of corporate funds they might have to have it as an asset, but if it's an asset, you depreciate it over time.
Yeah.
So it's probably a depreciable asset, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what they do with it. All right, next Thursday, 1 week from today, the biggest pack sale in Whatnot history. I will be going live on Cards HQ Shop on Whatnot. We're going to be selling tens of thousands of packs at discounted prices, plus incredible giveaways next Thursday night on Whatnot. Cards HQ Shop, mark your calendar. Okay, guys, another big card with a big bounty. Evan Longoria, his Charizard Bat Knob card was recently introduced to the public. That is going to be in Tier 1 baseball, a 1-of-1 card. It is a kind of a combo football baseball Pokemon, right? Because Tier 1 baseball, but the bat knob of his bat knob has Charizard on the bat knob. And the moment that this hit social media, there was Big League Cards down in Florida immediately put out a $100,000 bounty on the card. They really wanted it, which was I thought cool. I'm like, oh yeah, I could see that. That's amazing. Until another collector then immediately went on eBay and found a game-used Evan Longoria bat on eBay with the exact same bat knob, and he bought the entire bat on eBay for $700. So I don't know if the card's therefore worth $100,000, but that bounty is currently out there. This is buzzing. Doug, what do you think of this card? Is it worthy of the $100,000 bounty?
No, probably not. What's worth whatever somebody wants to pay for it, I guess. It's not to me, but I knew as soon as I saw this, it would be a very popular, very sought-after card. We've seen crossovers recently, and crossovers have been popular, and they've done well. I immediately think of my favorite crossover, which was Kobe Bryant and Prism Soccer.
Yeah, that's right.
Another
2014 Prism Soccer.
Exactly,
World
Cup. Michael Jordan famously in Upper Deck Baseball. We've seen Wemby in baseball. We've seen, what's another?
C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud. We've seen Tom
recently.
Brady in baseball. So we've seen crossovers, and they've done well, but we've never seen this type of crossover. And Charizard being one of the more iconic characters from one of the biggest IPs of the last couple of decades. I mean, this is it's a pretty big deal. I don't think, if you guys know, you can correct me. If anybody in the comments knows, they can correct me. I don't think there's any serial numbered Pokemon cards, right? There's no other one-of-one Charizard that exists.
No.
This is in a very rare group of actual serial numbered Charizard cards at this point. There's a one-of-one Charizard.
Well, there's
that
the
exists now.
Charizard Cheeto. That was one of them.
Yeah,
The
I
Cheetos
guess.
are.
Cheetozard.
So, I think there's a lot of cool things about this card. Again, the second I saw it, I knew this was a big deal and it was going to be pretty sought after. Didn't think it would get a $100,000 bounty, but it's cool. I like it.
It's a cool card. What do you think? Would
This
you pay
is-
$100,000 for this?
No, I would not. This is arguably the most no-brainer take the bounty card in existence in history. And speaking of people who might not be happy about some overbidder putting out a ridiculous number like the Dix thing, I believe Evan Longoria himself posted, he's into cards, posted on his Instagram basically like, whoever finds this, please hit me up. I'd like to buy it. Is he going to fork over more than $100K? I don't know. Do you know what the most expensive Tier 1 card, Tier 1 bat knob, which is also just the most expensive bat knob card to have sold, is?
Billy Ripken?
Maybe a Babe Ruth bat knob they put in there at some point?
It's in Market Movers, we have a Hannes Wagner game used bat knob relic, one of one, that sold on Golden Auction in 2022 for $25,000.
Wow.
So Evan Longoria and Charizard,
4X.
the
4X
tag
Hannes
team
Wagner,
we never
huh?
knew. I guess this just proves Charizard is better than Hannes Wagner and anybody else, and Babe Ruth and anybody else. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The bounties are wild. I don't know. I don't get it, but it's a cool card. I think it's a cool card, and we're seeing Pokemon make its way into more and more and more stuff. I think you brought that
timing's
up.
great for it.
You bring that
Pokemon's
up
so
in your
hot.
interview you did with Mike Mahan recently.
Yeah.
And here we are all of a sudden seeing
Here we
this
are.
collab.
There's something.
Honda's putting out a Koraidon motorcycle that is from like the video game now. Like this is.
We're about to have the
Pokemon
Lego
takeover.
Pokemon collaboration. Lego's a big collector thing,
geez.
and that's going to be pretty huge when that comes out.
All right, there you go. Maybe we'll see a little more of this in the future. All right, guys, one more story today. Another card making headlines, Amir Khan. So Amir Khan, Aura, as he is known, he is the team manager for the McNeese State basketball teams. They won their first game, you might remember, against Clemson. Nice little upset, one of the very few upsets. I know it was a 12-5 game, so I don't know how big of an upset it was, but it was a little bit of an upset. One of the few upsets that occurred in the first round of the NCAA tournament this year. But many credit the victory to the team's student manager, Amir Khan. He has become a social media sensation for leading the McNeese State basketball team out of the tunnel, holding a boombox, playing rap songs, dancing, getting the energy going. He's earned the nickname Aura, and he has now become the first team manager ever to get signed to an NIL deal, and including a trading card deal with Topps, who has now produced a Bowman U Now basketball, part of their Bowman U Now basketball set. They have included Amir Khan in that set. And out of the 93 different players in March Madness who have been part of that Bowman U Now basketball set, his card has the 10th highest print run, even though he didn't even play. He outsold 83 other actual players who played in March Madness. Doug, I know you're into March Madness in basketball. Help me out making sense of this one.
Yeah, I think I'm missing something here.
You and me both.
When I saw that this was a topic, the first thing that popped into my mind is I better figure out more about this guy because I've been very confused about this all March tournament. Then I decided not to, and just give my honest take of this. I don't want to be mean, like I'm sure he's the best guy in the world, but I don't know why I'm supposed to care. I don't understand his popularity. I don't know what he did that became, the viral moment or whatever it is that kind of launched his stardom. It's McNeese State. Well, it's not even McNeese State anymore. He followed Will Wade to NC State. So whoever bought those cards, he's not even on that team anymore. He's now transferred to the ACC. If you're not a rabid McNeese State fan or Amir Khan's parents, I don't understand the appeal personally. And if you are a McNeese fan, he's not even on your team anymore. You had 2 games of this guy being a personality that gained some national recognition, and I don't know that we'll hear from him much anymore. I think they'll probably try to overdo it now, is my guess. And unless he has some sort of quality about him, maybe he's a super funny guy, and we'll get to hear some interviews with. I don't know. I just don't understand why. Somebody can tell me why. I'm happy to hear. But I am glad that it was a person not named Cooper Flag getting a card, because I've looked at those Bowman U cards and it's 90% flag. It's really frustrating. It's so frustrating.
The first, second, third, fourth, and fifth most sold highest print runs were all Cooper Flag.
That's because all they're printing. That's all they're making.
Sixth was Juju Watkins. Yeah, and eighth was Juju Watkins. But
it's a Juju Watkins dual auto with Cooper Flag. It's all flag.
But
Stop
Amir is down there in 10th. 2,811 of his Tops Now cards sold. What do you think of that, Teapot?
This is some Hawk Tua mass psychosis nonsense. That's what this is. That's why this is happening. This is the power of the algorithm feeding into people's social media feeds and then convincing them of that something is important. I saw this at first and I got like crazy Nate Shelley from Ted Lasso vibes. You know him? Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yeah, I like Nate Shelley.
Like he's the team manager and he kind of builds like a
I liked
fandom.
him before.
He becomes a villain. Spoiler, sorry.
Yeah, maybe Amir Khan becomes a villain.
Maybe Amir Khan becomes a villain and becomes a coaching rival for an NC State or something. Who knows? But this is just nonsense. This guy Nate Shelley. I'm calling him Nate Shelley now. Mr. Khan has nothing on Sister Jean. And he is
still like Sister Jean.
And I mean that's where we've fallen so far in a few years, all the way down to a guy carrying a boombox being viral. So I don't know. And by the way, I don't know when the word aura became a thing, but it is one of my least favorite words now in the English language. To just he's got aura. Like I don't know.
Generational. I'm sure we said some stuff that our parents thought was really
charisma,
dumb.
moxie, class, style. There's an aura. I just hear it. I'm over it.
You know, Sister Jean is still alive.
Oh, yeah.
105 years old.
One of my
I
favorite.
wasn't sure. I just had to Google because she's been out of the spotlight now for the last few years.
Not to me. Every time Grant Williams comes to our store, I share the picture. It's a Photoshop picture, of course, of Sister Jean dunking on Grant Williams when Loyola Chicago beat them, knocked him out of the tournament that year, out of the Elite Eight, I think it was. Sister Jean always carries a place in my heart for knocking Tennessee out of the tournament.
Let's get Sister Jean a Tops Now card. Can we do that?
Make it the
I would
Photoshop
rather
of her
have her
dunking on
than
Grant
this guy.
Williams.
I'd rather have Sister Jean's card than this guy. I think we'd buy more of those. All right, well, there you go, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode today. Let us know what you think. Let us know in the YouTube comments. Don't forget to go get an Arena Club slab hack, promo code SCI20 for 20% off your first order. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you soon with our next one. Take care.